A couple of months back on this channel, I made a jerk chicken recipe video, and jerk chicken is one of my favorite things to eat. But one thing I've never done is made jerk ribs. So I'm gonna make some up in this video. So I've got a rack of ribs in the fridge at the moment, but first I need to make a jerk marinade. And I'm hoping that my food processor is gonna blend this marinade up well enough. I can't find the blades for my NutriBullet. Also, I'm pretty confident when it comes to making jerk chicken. So I'm just gonna use my basic jerk chicken marinade recipe on these ribs. I don't know if there's a different way to make jerk ribs, so I'm just gonna go with what I think is right. So let me know below if you would have done anything different. But we're gonna go in with some garlic, probably 7 or 8 cloves, a good amount of spring onion, green onion, scallions, whatever you wanna call them. Some ginger. And I think I'm gonna cut this up a little bit just to help this food processor along. Some nicely brightly coloured Scotch bonnets. I've got a yellow one, 2 red ones and an orange one. All I'm gonna do is take the tops off, leave the seeds in, some red onion, and I just realised that I didn't move my camera into place. So you're getting a very different angle to what you'd normally get when I'm prepping up veg. Some fresh thyme, and I'll put in any stalks that are soft. Anything kind of too woody I'll leave out. Just pull the leaves off using my nail. Next up is some allspice berries. So these are definitely essential when it comes to making jerk stuff. Gonna go in with some honey, some apple cider vinegar, some orange juice, and some regular vegetable oil. Not too much. And last thing we're gonna go in with is a good pinch of salt. This is pretty much all the seasoning the ribs are gonna see, so a healthy amount. Get this on. And normally this is a point where I remember that I've forgotten something. I don't think I have. If I have, I'll just add it later. But we're gonna get this blended up into a fine paste. Soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce. Blend this up into a fine paste. Yeah, this really isn't working. Put this on puree a few times now, and we still got whole allspice berries, so I'm gonna have to find that NutriBullet blade. Found it. That should do. That smells incredibly good. Give it a taste. It is gonna be super spicy. Yep. Very spicy. Perfect amount of salt, I'm happy with that. Great blend of spice, heat, sweet, acidity. Probably not gonna do anything more. So now moving on to our ribs. Standard St. Louis cut. Nothing special about these ribs. These are just a classic Swift brand from Farm Foods. St. Louis cut spares. Always really good, always really meaty. And I'm in two minds about whether to stab this, make some holes in it. So just like jerk chicken, you poke holes in it, you make sure that the marinade gets into those holes, kind of seasons the chicken all the way through. And I'm thinking maybe I do the same with the ribs, kind of make some holes in between the bones, push the seasoning in, but I'm not too sure. I don't like the idea of that. But then they are just gonna be jerk ribs on the outside, so no, I'm gonna leave it as it is. So all there is to do is take our marinade, and as usual, I'm not taking the membrane off because there is a huge amount of fat under this membrane. And if I take it off during the cook, all that fat is just gonna render out and fall into the bottom of the barbecue, and we're gonna lose it all, so I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna be keeping some of this marinade back to make a jerk barbecue sauce. And as for this, to make sure that we've got really good contact on the marinade all throughout the ribs, I'm gonna get them into a Ziploc bag. Just makes fridge space a bit easier too. Not gonna waste any of that marinade. Squeezed all the air out of this. This can just go into the fridge for the next couple of days. A little bit of a brine action going on with that salt and generally taking on all those jerk flavors. So this can go into the fridge for the next day or two. So it's actually the next morning and we're gonna get the chub box fired up. I'm thinking some direct heat on these ribs is gonna be perfect for jerk. Some nice direct but fairly gentle heat. So this charcoal has mostly burnt down. Jerk ribs are on. They've been marinating since last night. And I'm gonna let this chub box kind of settle in wherever it wants to. That's normally about 300 Fahrenheit on a full chimney. I'm gonna go in with some pimento wood. So this is pimento wood from Jamaica, and some people say that it's not jerk if you're not cooking with pimento wood. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of that, get some smoke flavor going, shut this down a little bit, lid down, open. So while those ribs are cooking, we're gonna take our leftover marinade and make up a jerk barbecue sauce. And to do that, all I'm gonna do is get this marinade into a small pan. And then effectively what I'm gonna do is fry off these spices. It's just gonna take the raw edge away from the garlic and spring onions, kind of balance and mellow things out a little bit. I'm just gonna fry this off for maybe 10 minutes or so, just until it no longer smells raw. And once that's been cooking down for a little bit, we're gonna go in and add some brown sugar, some ketchup. So we'll get this back onto the heat. I'll taste and adjust if it needs more sugar, if it needs more ketchup, but generally just gonna cook this, simmer this down until it's at the texture that I want it. And after a few adjustments, and some simmering time until I got it to the texture that I wanted, we've got some nice jerk barbecue sauce. Give it a taste. That is very, very good. Definitely a very complex flavor, pretty spicy, nice and sweet. I added a little bit of apple cider vinegar to bring some acidity to it. I think that will be great. So these ribs have been on for a couple of hours now. Checked on them a few minutes ago. So we'll go meat side down for an hour or so before we start hitting it with that barbecue sauce. Hour or so later, flipping these over, these are starting to get a nice color, nice char on them. I'm gonna start hitting them with this barbecue sauce. This is gonna help them blacken up even more, char up, caramelize those sugars. And what I'm looking for is a nice dark rib. That smells incredible. Hit the backside. To be honest, I feel them pretty tender as well. That direct heat doesn't take long. I think they've been on for about 3.5 hours, something like that. Close that down, keep them cooking. Right, so I've been basting these every few minutes or so for the last half an hour. Real nice char color on them. That sauce is tacked up nicely, nice and floppy. Let's take them inside. So these are certainly some of the best smelling ribs I've ever made. They smell ridiculous. And before I do cut into them, big shout out to my friend Connor, who suggested I make jerk ribs. Pimento wood smells good. Oh yeah, look at the char on that. That's exactly what we're after. Nice and juicy still. Super rendered fat. Certainly not the prettiest when sliced, but let's give it a taste. I love how those direct heat ribs come out. Super rendery fat, jerk barbecue sauce there. Straight away, the fruitiness from that marinade comes through, the fragrance from the ginger, the garlic, the Scotch bonnets, it all comes through surprisingly well. They're not too hot. That marinade was super hot when I tasted it, but by the time it's had some nice direct heat cooking, it definitely mellows out. I'm gonna be honest, I think it's better with the jerk dip. It brings back that kind of zinginess, spiciness, the crispy membrane side as well. I wish I'd taken the meat side further. Definitely not the prettiest ribs you've ever seen, but the flavor is unreal. I love the amount of fat render that you get with the direct heat ribs. And there's even a little smoke ring at the top there from that pimento wood, which, to be honest, I can taste some smoke, but it doesn't particularly smell unique. A couple of things I will say, and this happened last time when I made the jerk chicken, was that the marinade was really hot when I was making it, but by the time I came to eat it, it mellowed out quite a lot. And this time I put in more Scotch bonnets, including the seeds. And again, you almost need that barbecue sauce to get a hit of spicy Scotch bonnet, which isn't a bad thing because it is delicious. Sometimes there are things that I make and I think if I sat down at a restaurant, saw it on the menu, ordered it and it came, how would I feel about it? And these, I would be absolutely delighted and I would go back and order them again. For sure. Huge depth of flavor. The sauce is balanced, sweet, acidic, spicy, good smoke flavor. Yeah, honestly, can't knock them. Gonna be the second time this week that I eat a whole rack of ribs, probably. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully that recipe you'll use in the future. I definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend making that barbecue sauce as well. So if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you next week for another video.